Your brain is rotting. Not metaphorically, structurally. Not because you're doing something wrong, because you're doing too much right. There's a specific kind of cognitive state your ancestors entered thousands of times a day. A state that repaired memory, generated creativity, processed unresolved emotion, and quietly rebuilt the architecture of thought itself. You've probably experienced it once or twice this week. Maybe. For about 11 seconds before you reached for your phone. Neuroscientists have a name for it. Most people just call it boredom. And your brain is starving for it.
Go back 40,000 years. Your ancestor, same skull as you, same neural wiring, same baseline anxiety, is sitting outside a cave somewhere in southern Europe. The hunt is done. It's not quite dark. There's nothing to do. Not nothing in the modern sense. Not, I've run out of content. Nothing. Actual, total environmental silence. No input, no signal, no stimulation arriving from anywhere. So the brain does what brains do when the outside world goes quiet. It turns inward. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network, the DMN. It's a system of interconnected brain regions that activates specifically when you are not focused on the external world. Not sleep, not distraction, the specific state of understimulation while conscious. When the DMN runs, your brain is not idle. It is doing some of its most important work: memory consolidation, future simulation, moral reasoning, self-referential thought, the processing of social dynamics, who can be trusted, who wronged you, what you said last Tuesday, and what it meant about you. The DMN is where your identity is assembled and maintained. Your ancestor sitting outside that cave wasn't wasting time. That quiet hour was neurological maintenance. It happened every single day, multiple times a day. Boredom wasn't a problem to be solved. It was a scheduled feature of being alive.
The default mode network was first mapped in 2001 by neuroscientist Marcus Reichel. What he found confused him at first. These brain regions weren't activating during tasks. They were activating in the absence of them. The brain had a whole parallel operating system that only came online when the primary system went quiet. And here's the part that should unsettle you. When you interrupt that system, when you flood the brain with stimulation before the DMN can complete its cycle, the work doesn't get paused, it gets abandoned. Memory traces that needed reinforcement don't get reinforced. Emotional residue that needed processing stays raw. The self-narrative that needed updating doesn't update. You pick up the phone, the DMN shuts down. The maintenance cycle resets. And if you pick it up soon enough, every single time, it never runs at all. You are living in the most stimulation-dense environment in the history of the human species. Not slightly more, not incrementally more, a different category of more. Your brain receives more novel information before 9 a.m. than your Pleistocene ancestor received in a month. The feed doesn't end. The notifications don't have a natural stopping point. There is no environmental silence to fall into, because silence has been filled deliberately, engineered carefully by systems that profit the moment the DMN loses control. The average adult in 2024 unlocks their phone 144 times per day. That's once every 6.5 minutes during waking hours. Not because they're addicted in the clinical sense, though some are. Because the brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do: respond to novel stimulation when it appears. It was an excellent strategy for 300,000 years. It has no defense against infinite novelty. Here's what chronic DMN suppression actually looks like from the inside.
A vague, persistent restlessness. Difficulty sitting with your own thoughts. The sensation of being mentally busy but cognitively dull. Creative blocks that feel like emptiness but are actually noise. The inability to be present in a conversation because some part of your brain is processing 12 other threads simultaneously. Sleep that doesn't quite restore. You felt this, probably recently, probably not connected it to anything. It doesn't feel like overstimulation. It feels like boredom, which is why you reach for the phone. But it isn't boredom. It's the withdrawal symptom of a brain that has forgotten how to tolerate the absence of input. Real boredom, the productive kind, the ancestral kind, requires sitting in discomfort for long enough that the discomfort resolves.
That takes minutes, uninterrupted minutes. The DMN needs time to warm up, to take hold, to run. 11 seconds doesn't get you there. There is a study from the University of Virginia, 2014. Researchers left participants alone in a room with a button. The button delivered a mild electric shock. They had been asked to just sit and think for 15 minutes. 67% of men and 25% of women pressed the button at least once. They chose pain over their own unstructured thoughts. That result gets cited a lot as a joke. Proof that humans are bad at sitting still. But read it differently. Those participants weren't weak. They were overstimulation adapted brains encountering a withdrawal state they weren't equipped to handle. Their discomfort was real. The electric shock was, neurologically speaking, relief. Your ancestor had no choice. The quiet came whether they wanted it or not. Dusk fell. The world went still. The DMN ran its cycles without permission being required. You have to choose it now. And choosing it means tolerating something that your optimized, notification-trained nervous system will interpret as a threat. Sitting, doing nothing, letting the discomfort arrive, and not treating it as a problem. Not meditation, necessarily. Not mindfulness with an app and a timer. Just nothing. No input. The specific, uncomfortable, increasingly rare experience of letting your own brain run without you managing it. Your cave-dwelling ancestor did this every single day. You probably haven't done it this week. And every time you don't, the machine that builds your memory, your creativity, your sense of self, goes another cycle without maintenance. The cave is still there, inside your skull, waiting for the noise to stop.